in part by Western Adams Inn in Quincy, with beautiful views of Boston, waterfront, restaurant, banquet facilities, and a great park fly deal. Book direct by calling 617-328-1500.
Oh, what's up with the
Mention
YouTube
Howie
feed?
and save 10%.
I don't know. I have McKay working on it.
Oh, it's fixed?
He
What
might
happened?
not be
Okay,
flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You watch the fight, you watch the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal. Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer's impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over. So everybody enjoy the holidays.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
You know, people are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, for me, it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Hi, my name's Jane Lucas, and I am from the town of South China, Maine.
This is Al from Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Angela from Brewster on the Cape, and this is the one and the only Howie Carr Show.
Yeah, I'd seen that Wall Street Journal NBC poll that Bernie is now up 12 points. I think that's just more of an indication of how much the other candidates, other than Bloomberg, are failing. I mean, this is kind of like, in many ways, I think, the last hurrah for Klobuchar and Warren and maybe even Buttigieg. And I think that if Bernie could have some kind of moment in the debate tomorrow, like Reagan did in 1980 when he yelled in Nashua, New Hampshire, I think it was. He was debating George H.W. Bush, and he said, "I paid for this microphone, Mr. Green." His name was Mr. Breen, but you get the message. He took charge. He was angry. And I think if Bernie could do that, I don't even know how you do that. I don't think that's that's not a moment you can script, I don't think. But if he could have a moment like that, I think he could, pretty much put the nomination away. 844-500-4242. Let's have Donald Trump on pardoning Bernie Kerik, the former New York City police commissioner.
Yes, I just pardoned Bernie Carrick, a man who's had many recommendations from a lot of good people. You know, oftentimes, pretty much all the time, I really rely on the recommendations of people that know them. We have Bernie Carrick, we have Mike Milken, who's gone around and done an incredible job for the world with all of his research on cancer, and he's done this, and he suffered greatly. He paid a big price, paid a very tough price, but he's done an incredible job. And these are all people that you have to see the recommendations. I rely on recommendations. Very important.
Yeah. And, here he's talking about, do we have time to have him talking about his use of Twitter and how no time?
No.
Okay. We're going to have more when we come back. And we're also going to have a discussion of the state rep, the Democrat state rep. He's a big Charlie Baker guy. You know, looks like he's going away to prison for a long time, but maybe when he comes out, he can get a job in the new unelected bureaucracy that's going to enforce the double tax on gasoline that Tal Duvall's promoting. David Nangle is his name. I'm Howie Carr.
The President's Day sales event continues all month long at Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC. Come celebrate and choose from over 2,000 cars, trucks, and SUVs all in one convenient location. Plus, with President's Day savings all month long, Banks in Concord is always a smart choice. Come see for yourself the roomy Chevy Traverse, the versatile Equinox, and the most advanced Silverado ever. At Banks in Concord, you'll save time and money with the lowest, most transparent pricing anywhere. At banksautos.com, our knowledgeable online sales team can get you real-time answers and take care of most of the details before you even walk through the door. Right now, qualified lessees can lease a 2020 Chevy Equinox LS for $199 per month, or a 2019 Silverado Double Cab for only $287 per month. Chevrolet, find new roads. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Always a smart choice. banksautos.com. Lease includes $1,500 cash down. First payment and doc fee due at signing. See dealer for complete details.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped. You know what I mean? Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
The Subaru of New England, Washington's birthday sales event lasts all month long.
Feel the freedom in the all-new all-wheel drive 2020 Subaru Outback with standard LED headlights. Starting at only $26,645 with 0.9% financing for up to 48 months. Or lease for only $249 per month for 36 months with $2449 due at signing. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If Mr. Gooner was a person, what college would she attend?
The U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Is Mr. Gooner a conservative or a Democrat?
Mr. Gooner is a fiscal conservative and a social liberal.
If you could have dinner with any president, dead or alive, who would it be?
Calvin Coolidge. He was from Massachusetts, and I liked his attitude towards public sector unions. And he said, the business of America is business. He's my guy.
Other than yourself, which columnist do you respect the most?
The late George Fraser, he was a columnist for the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe. Most people have forgotten him now. Jimmy Cannon was pretty good. He was so good that Mike Barnacle used to steal stuff from him all the time. Breslin was good in his early days, not so good later on, but when he was working for the Herald Tribune back when I was a kid in New York, he was damn good.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When I raise money, excuse me, I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much better.
if I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? You think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
This is the Howie Carr Show, live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House, 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969, on WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not, here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Out of all of your books, which is your favorite title and why?
I think my favorite title is Hitman because it's very effective. I thought long and hard about it. We're going to make it Boston Hitman, but then why make it Boston Hitman? Just make it Hitman. Make it a universal subject.
If you could have dinner with one author, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would probably have dinner with William Shakespeare. I know that's a cliche response, but he was the greatest writer in the English language, no question about it.
If you won Mega Millions, would you retire completely?
I used to say no, I would not retire, but yeah, I think I would retire now.
If you had to leave all of your money to one charity, which would it be?
The Salvation Army. I like what the Salvation Army does. I don't think they have too many highly paid executives trying to be social justice warriors.
Come in and share the love. Let your love give back. During the Subaru of New England Share the Love event. This holiday season, drive away in the brand new all-wheel drive 2020 Subaru Ascent.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
I didn't see Mike in Iowa where we were holding town meetings with folks there. Didn't see him in New Hampshire. Hey, you know what? I didn't see him here in Nevada. Didn't see him in South Carolina. But he thinks he can buy this election.
I have more money than I know how to spend.
Well, I got news from Mr. Bloomberg, and that is the American people are sick and tired of billionaires buying elections.
2020 hopeful Michael Bloomberg is qualifying for his first Democratic presidential debate. It will be tomorrow night in Las Vegas.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There's this enormous cohort of Black and Latino males that don't have jobs, don't have any prospects, don't know how to find jobs, don't know how to behave in the workplace.
He's a racist, homophobic old goof.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Democratic socialism. Young people listened to Bernie Sanders and they said, yeah, democratic, that's good. Socialism, yeah, that's that social media stuff.
Is this what you believe? That's right. Let's give him a little bit of help here. He's trying. Man's struggling.
You have to have a lot more gray matter.
Unchained and unstoppable.
1,000 people who want Barr to resign are doing a political hit job on him. The 4 prosecutors were the ones who were overzealous, and Bill Barr rightly corrected that.
I think the mainstream media has really cast this incorrectly. They would suggest that Bill Barr has infected the frontline prosecution teams with politics, when the reality is I think Barr has reoriented those frontline prosecutors to the overall goals of the administration, and that's entirely appropriate.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
I just went onto the Boston Globe website during the break. Here's the lead story. Trump goes on clemency spree. Did they say that when Obama was letting out, hundreds of drug dealers? Oh, well, they were convicted of nonviolent crimes. Yes, because they pleaded down the firearms part of the arrests because they were looking at mandatory minimums of 30 years for the use of automatic weapons and machine guns. So that's why they were only convicted of possession to distribute with intent to distribute of, crack cocaine and fentanyl. It was letting them go by the hundreds. And there was never a headline in the Globe or the New York Times or the Washington Post. Obama goes on clemency spree, or Clinton goes on clemency spree, pardoning people who gave money to his brother-in-law or to Eric Holder, who was representing them. Once again, honest graft. What a joke. 201 is a great tweet here. We were talking about is Bernie going to go after Bloomberg? Bernie should go after Bloomberg with both barrels. It will mean a much bigger envelope for him. That's a very good way to look at it. You're quite cynical, and I totally agree. 844 weekday afternoon. We're going to take a lot of calls this hour, and I did want to mention, though, and we can talk about it. State Representative David Nangle of Lowell was arrested this morning by the FBI, and again, it raises an interesting, mysterious question that will thunder down the halls of time in the Merrimack Valley. Who would have ever dreamed that David Nangle would be arrested before Congresswoman Lori Trahan? But it's happened. It's happened. Nobody even knew he was under investigation, unlike Lori Trahan, who's being investigated for all kinds of campaign finance abuse allegations regarding her 2018 narrow victory. But Nangle is he's been around for 20 years. If you had the Central Casting could send you up a lifer state house hack Paul backbencher type, it would be David Nangle. And he's such a hack that he's a Charlie Baker guy. He's a Democrat, but he's with Tal Duvall. And we got a picture running at the Herald we got from the Lowell Sun. He's with Tal Duvall has got his arm around him. And on the other side of him is Karen Polito. So I guess he has a choice when he gets out of prison. He can either get a job at TCI, like $150,000, $200,000 a year, administering the double tax on gasoline that Tal Duvall wants to push through without a vote by the voters or the legislature, or maybe Karen Polito, who's on the other side of him in that picture when he's got a big smile on his face. He wasn't smiling this afternoon when he left the federal courthouse in South Boston, I'll tell you that. Maybe Karen Polito can get him a job as a clerk magistrate somewhere in Worcester County. I mean, all of her other friends have gotten jobs as clerk magistrates. I mean, I guess a judgeship is kind of out of the question once he'll be a convicted felon. Plus, I doubt he has a law. I'm positive he doesn't have a law degree, but he can be a clerk magistrate. So this is a 28 page indictment. And let me just go over some of the things that are in it. He borrowed $100,000 from a relative who owned a Drake-It restaurant. But, quote, as of late 2018, Nangle owed the Drake-It owner approximately $87,000. So apparently he stiffed his relative $87,000. Okay, he's got a big gambling problem. He goes to all the casinos in New England, the two in Connecticut, the one in here in Massachusetts, the one in Rhode Island, a couple of the ones in New Hampshire, and he spends all of his money there. And so he also borrowed $7,000 from a fellow state rep, and he still owes that guy $4,500. But he's apparently duked them some money out of his campaign funds. So this is a classic state rep in Lowell story. He got a state job for one of his hack constituents, and then told the guy, even though he's not an accountant or anything, to file fraudulent tax returns for him through TurboTax. And so the payroll patriot filled out everything and then got to the point where he had to hit the send button, but he, quote, refused to hit the submit button on TurboTax because he was aware that the inflated expenses were fraudulent. This is from the indictment. In response, Nangle pressed the submit button, assuring the Lowell state employee that Nangle would, quote, take the blame if anything happens. So another thing he did, he's a member of the legislative leadership, He's the second division chair. That's right, he's the chair. I had no word on who the table is in the second division, but he's the chair. And he's also on the House Ethics Committee. Aren't they always on the House Ethics Committee when they get indicted? So he claimed that for income tax purposes that he was running a consulting business. No consulting business, but he was taking tax write-offs for the mileage on his cars. He claimed he had a 2008 Chevy because he was broke from gambling. So he had a 2008 Chevy, and he claimed he ran up 300,000 miles on the 2008 Chevy. Good luck with that, right? And so for tax purposes, in the years 2014 through 2017, he claimed he'd driven 290,000 miles. 290,000 miles. Well, the problem, of course, is that under the more recent state inspection laws, they check your mileage. So they just checked his mileage, And it turned out instead of driving 290,000 miles, he'd actually driven 132,000 miles. This is a minor one. He claimed he used campaign cash to buy flowers for his girlfriend. He also claimed that he had donated $6,500 in furniture, maybe the second division chair, perhaps, to charities, but he had never done that. He used a straw vendor. He claimed he was paying a straw vendor as a campaign consultant. And he got a relative to find somebody, and he paid the check for two checks, $1,000 and $500, and then he just had the person turn around and give him the cash money, which I'm sure he then just went down to Foxwoods or Encore or Mohegan Sun or Twin Rivers and just blew the money like they always do. So one time he wins $1,221 at a Connecticut casino in a slot machine. And so apparently if you win over $1,200, they have to issue you a W-2G. They call it W-2 gambling, W-2G. So, but there are people who lurk around the casino, I guess, according to the indictment. And so he found one of them and said, you cash it and then give me the money so I don't have to report it on my income taxes. So all of this, the feds have on surveillance video. He's in a bit of a jam. And so his lawyer said today, the charges against David are merely allegations. I guess, does that include the surveillance video? Does that include the mileage that's recorded on the on his inspection forms for the last 4 years? Incidentally, he blames all of his financial woes on, yes, wait for it, his ex-wife. Of course, it's always the ex-wife's fault. So this guy's making $62,000 a year base pay, and he's getting another $30,000 as the chair, the second division chair, which is just a made-up phony baloney title, so he can get some extra dough. And he's got the House Ethics Committee, so he's making like about $100,000. Plus, he's getting the per diems of like $15,000 or $20,000 for the transportation back and forth between Lowell. And so he's getting over $100,000, but he's taking all these phony baloney write-offs. So he's paying no income tax. No, he's paying zero income tax according to the indictment. So he's not. So if you're paying zero income tax on $120,000, it's more like $220,000. Right. We'll take some calls on this when we come back. 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. This is a 28-page indictment I can get through. I got some more stuff to get through here. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone, Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you today in part by the Conversations with Grace podcast. Hear Grace's compelling conversation with former Maine Governor Paul LePage. Never before heard stories and political news too. All at HowieCarrShow.com. Campers, have you thought of upgrading your RV or camper this year? This is Howie Carr. Right now at Cold Springs RV, you can shop great preseason deals on a brand new 2020 camper. Go see the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motor homes. Cold Springs RV is your one-stop shop with over 200 acres of all things camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV center and superstore. Now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and auto body shop. That makes Cold Springs your destination for all things camping. Remember, at Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can freely browse. So go check out the latest 2020 models and see for yourself. If you're looking for a pre-owned RV, you'll also find one of the largest selections in New England. Don't miss the year's best selection and early bird savings at Cold Springs RV. And tell them Howie sent you. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. Online at coldspringsrv.com.
I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul. But we can't get enough of his gaffes.
Here's the best of Uncle Joe speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Okay, look, all right. Look, you can frack with me later, okay? The teachers are recount. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me get over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dr. Houghton, tell us about the state-of-the-art procedures that can help many people look 10 to 15 years younger.
As we age, we do lose these proper proportions to our faces. And so if you're deficient in your chin or mid-face, we can create the proper proportions and make you look great. Sometimes we use orthodontics to change the look of the face. Sometimes we just use the teeth themselves, and it creates the right support for a beautiful face. They're all non-surgical procedures.
There's some pretty complex cases that you deal with. Give me an example of a tough case.
Well, some cases, people just are missing a lot of teeth. I get a lot of people that come in and think that I cannot solve their problems because they're too great, but I really can. We've been doing this for over 35 years, and there isn't much that we haven't seen.
So even if you're missing a few teeth, or your teeth are discolored, or you're very embarrassed, there's no reason not to come in for a consultation, right?
Absolutely. New techniques, new technology, things are available to us that we never had before, and we can handle just about everything.
Where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer. Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark.
This is Alex from East Bridgewater, Mass.
This is Ann in Saco, Maine.
This is John Succo from Hampton, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Unlike other home security systems, Simply Safe uses video evidence, so police dispatch up to 350% faster than for a normal burglar alarm. That's 3.5 times faster. If you can do the math. I didn't do the math so good earlier today. Get free shipping on your order plus a 60-day money-back guarantee at simplysafehowie.com. That's simplysafehowie.com. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Can you buy the presidency of the United States?
Yes, I think you can.
55% think so.
Hasn't changed much through the course of the day. All right. Bernie has opened up a big lead, but I don't know how long that lasts. Again, I think a lot depends tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night is a very important debate. 844-500-4242. By the way, has Officer Mark wants to know, Taylor, has Representative Nagle's mom issued a statement yet?
He's a good boy, a very good boy.
808 says maybe his second career will be with the Massachusetts State Police. 844-500-4242. He looks very sad today leaving the courthouse. They brought him in shackles and handcuffs. I guess they let him go after a while, but a $25,000 unsecured bond, and he's been ordered to stay away from casinos. That's the toughest thing for him, I think. I'm sure. Rocky, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rocky.
Hey, Howie, thanks for taking my call. Hey, you were talking about Trahan. She's like the tail end of the squad, but you forgot to, with all
That's
the,
a good way to
with
put
all
it.
her, with all her fuddy-duddy with dad, her hubby giving her money and all the, the breaking the laws, you forgot to mention that she put a big ad in the paper here in the Merrimack Valley about telling illegals how to hide and don't answer the door and you have rights. And don't you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember
One
that
more
now.
thing, Howie. Howie,
Yeah.
one more thing. What the hell is a straw vendor? How do you make any money selling straws? Thanks, Howie.
Yeah, what that means is, he knows what it means, Rocky. But what it means is he wanted to just get some cash, to go down and put it into the slots or the blackjack table or whatever. And so he needed to get some cash. So he went to a relative, apparently, according to the indictment. And he said, here, I'm going to, do you have a friend, Uncle Joe down the street? Have Uncle Joe. That's probably the wrong one. Uncle Bob down the street. I'm going to give him a check. I'm going to give him 2 checks. And I'm going to say he's a campaign consultant. So you give the money to Uncle Bob and have him cash the checks and give the money back to you. And then you give it to me. That was the straw vendor. It's not really a consultant, just somebody you set up to get some cash laundered through from your campaign account. He had no opponent last year or 2 years ago, 2018, but he raised $67,000 and spent $55,000. How do you spend $55,000 in a state reps race when you're unopposed? Gary, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Gary.
Hey, Howie, the dream of the hacker rammer is to tax us for mileage.
Yes.
So maybe you can write like an article about this distinguished public servant, or as his lawyer, I think it says, he's a good man, a very good man.
Yes.
Would mileage tax for this 300,000 miles that he's claiming to the IRS?
Yeah, well, they've got him. They've got him. One of the counts is filing false income taxes. You would think that he's basically getting $120,000 for doing nothing. He's a state rep. He doesn't have a real leadership job. They keep saying he's a part of the leadership team. He's just getting a $30,000 payoff. He has no decision-making duties in the legislature. So he's just getting paid off, but that's $120,000 for doing nothing, and you have no skills. He's 59 years old. Before he was a state rep, he was a code holder for the state senator from Lowell, and before that, he worked for Colonial Gas. He's never done anything in his life. Wouldn't you be happy if you've done nothing your whole life? Wouldn't you be happy to be making the equivalent of after-tax dollars, a $220,000 taxable income? He's making $120,000 a year tax-free, and that wasn't enough. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
The 2020 elections have the potential to shape the next decade financially. That's especially true if you're within 10 years of retirement. Is your plan ready? Find out with a portfolio stress test from Kevin Frisbee at Frisbee & Associates. Call 800-989-9100 for your no-cost, no-obligation analysis. Kevin can help uncover any hidden fees that may be lurking in your plan. The team at Frisbee & Associates are up to date on all the latest rules and regulations, from what the Secure Act is and isn't, to Social Security and Medicare. Let Kevin and the team give you peace of mind as you get near retirement. Make sure your plan is ready for whatever happens come November. It starts with a phone call to Frisbee & Associates, 800-989-9100. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday at 3:50 as he reviews the market. Call Kevin now at 800-989-9100. 800-989-9100.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll
probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
John, what happened at Perfect Smiles when you went?
The initial consultation was easy. In the past, they just hand me a clipboard to fill out the forms, but that's not how it worked at Perfect Smiles. What was nice was it was a true consultation. They asked me my medical history or what I wanted to get out of the treatment plan. For me, I lived with TMJ. I'd literally have to crack my jaw throughout the day to relieve the pressure. I'd get headaches throughout the day. I'd be in pain. When I was at Perfect Smiles, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the treatment. As a joke, I just said, geez, I'd love you to be able to fix my TMJ. And I was surprised because Dr. Houghton specializes in working with patients like me that have TMJ.
What were the results of visiting Dr. Houghton at Perfect Smiles?
Not only did I walk out of that office with a perfect smile, but he fixed my TMJ. It was a life-changing event. People tell me now that my smile is amazing. People would say, geez, John, your teeth look so great. I never realized my teeth looked so bad before. Now I take a look at the before and after pictures and I'm amazed.
Go to Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire, or visit their website, perfectsmiles.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy now.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
I saw that there's a Senator Murphy met with the Iranians. Is that a fact? I just saw that on the way over. Is there anything that I should know? Because that sounds like to me a violation of the Logan Act. Yeah, what happened with that? Did you read about hear about Senator Murphy met with the Iranians? Well, they ought to find out about it. If it's true, I don't know. It just came out as I was leaving the car.
I think that was an update, Mr. President. I think we've known he was meeting with the Iranians. And he's not the first. He's not the only one. How about John Kerry, the former Secretary of State? He's been meeting with the Iranian. Just hang on. Just hang on. We're going to knock him off. We've got a really good candidate. His name is Senator Sanders. He's going to take him out. 844-500-4242. So the Lowell Sun is now owned by the same company that owns the Boston Herald. So, we're tight with the Lowell Sun now. We always have been, sort of, but now we're officially married to them, or or they're officially our kinsman newspaper or whatever you want to call it. So they look over the financial records of the legislators in their area very closely, and they noticed last fall that Nangle had started paying money to a Boston criminal defense law firm. Always a telltale sign, right? Like DeLeo paying $500,000 to Mintz Levin to become an unindicted co-conspirator as opposed to an indicted co-conspirator in the probation department scandal. Well, this was fairly short money because it was early going, $8,700. So the Lowell Sun calls up Nangle and says, "Are you jammed up? Are you in a photo finish with a grand jury?" And this is the statement that he issued to them. "It is advisable in this day and age of government accountability to obtain professional assistance from accountants, attorneys, and consultants on a host of government-related issues. These professionals are helpful in navigating the complex issues and requirements of a state legislator." And today he was indicted. Today he was arrested at dawn in Lowell. 844-500-4242. And the straw vendors, someone points out that another Solon did the same thing to buy a house in on the Cape. And I don't recall much happening with him. No, he was a little slicker than this guy Nangle. I mean, Nangle was just flushing it all down the toilet at the casinos. This is another problem that we could discuss at some point, is this embezzlement problem in gamblers. I mean, the more you have accessibility to casinos, the more you're going to have this problem. I mean, this is a certain percentage of people are going to get addicted, just like they get addicted to cocaine or to alcohol. They get addicted to gambling. And this is what happens. They just start stealing from wherever they can. In this case, the guy says he has, he's a legislator, so he has more opportunities to steal than most people do, and he has more time on his hand because he doesn't have to work. Is what it boils down to. David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Hi, Howie. How are you?
Good.
Hey, listen, I think all these broken politicians in the Lowell area can blame all their problems on having to drink the Merrimack River water. Remember Joe Tully got himself in a bind over the registry of motor vehicles deal there. And
yeah, Joe Tully. Joe Tully.
President.
Well, I mentioned Joe Tully in my column for tomorrow. Joe Tully was this guy. He was the state senator from Lowell. And he got arrested and he was when he was about 60 years old in the 80s for I don't know, attempted I don't know what it was, wire fraud, mail fraud. He went away for a while. He comes out and then he runs another shakedown and he gets arrested at the age of 84, David?
Yeah, I think it was.
Right.
I still think something in the Merrimack River water.
And then there was his successor, David, his successor, Paul Sheehy. Remember him? Paul Sheehy was this guy. He was a state rep, and he committed bank fraud, and he went away to Danbury when Danbury was still a male prison institution. And he spent some time down there, and he was visited by Marty Meehan, the future $600,000 a year president of UMass and a congressman. Lori Trahan's one of her predecessors as congressman from the Valley. And Sheehy gets out of prison. I think he was still in his jailbird pinstripes, and he gets elected to the Senate seat that Sheehy used to have. They've always had a lot of crooks up in Lowell. They've had there's certain seats that where they just get one crook after another. Lowell was one of them. The Lowell Senate seat, the Roxbury Senate seat. You had Royal Bowling Sr., who went away for income tax evasion. And then he traded the seat with Bill Owens, who went to state prison for beating a guy with a tire iron on Blue Hill Avenue. And then they were both succeeded by that reform candidate, Diane Wilkerson, who was recorded by the FBI stuffing $100 bills into her bra. And then you had the reps from Mission Hill, O'Connor David O'Connor, and then he went away, I think, on income tax evasion, and then he was succeeded by the bag lady's friend, Kevin Fitzgerald, or Money Fitz, as we called him. You used to have these districts are just rotten boroughs, basically, and everybody out of them is crooked. And now you have Nangle, and the congresswoman is the subject. Congresswoman Lori Trahan, like I said, is the subject of an ethics probe in Washington D.C. I think her husband gave her $380,000 that she used in the closing days of the primary campaign in 2018. She just edged out Coe, David. I think his name was Coe from Boston City Hall. He was originally from Andover, but he worked for Marty Walsh. 844-500-4242. Let's take some calls on the debate and the pardons and the commutations today, and what Trump was talking about Bill Barr, the Attorney General. And let's play cut 18. He's talking about how he makes Barr's job tougher with his tweets. Cut 18.
Yeah, I do make his job harder. I do agree with that. I think that's true. He's a very straight shooter. We have a great Attorney General, and he's working very hard. And he's working against a lot of people that don't want to see good things happen, in my opinion. That's my opinion, not his opinion. That's my opinion. You'll have to ask what his opinion is. But I will say this. Social media for me has been very important because it gives me a voice. Because I don't get that voice in the press, in the media. I don't get that voice. So I'm allowed to have a voice.
I think that sums it up. I mean, he has to tweet. I mean, we've made that a poll question in the past. Should he stop tweeting as much? But I think that I think he has to. I mean, I love the fact that he drives them crazy with his tweets and his appearances on TV. Did you see Katie Hill, the senator from not the senator, the former congresswoman from California, who had to quit? She was having an affair with her one of her female staffers and allegedly with one of her male staffers, and they had all these pictures. Right? Yeah, she goes both ways. She goes multiple ways. So she tweeted. She was watching the Daytona 500 in a restaurant, I guess, on Sunday. And she sees Trump coming in and the beast and, shout, saying, gentlemen, start your engines. And she just tweets out, she says, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry or something else or all three. And then somebody tweeted back at her, considering that she goes both ways, and said, given your history, that you're not going to have any problem with doing everything you want to. 844-500-4242. 808 says, I was worried the president was going to throw Barr under the bus. No, I knew he wasn't going to throw him. Barr has really got his hands full. I mean, he's really in a snake pit there in the Department of Justice. I mean, those people are just unbelievably crooked. I mean, what they did to Roger Stone and these guys who were big Democrat contributors, Mueller people, and they just wanted to throw the book at Roger Stone for doing nothing other than being a Republican. And then they double crossed the acting U.S. attorney down there in D.C. I think his name is Shea. And then the media portrays it as President Trump is firing his own prosecutors. Those aren't his own prosecutors. That's like he didn't fire them. They quit. It was a lynch mob. They were part of the lynch mob. He practically had rope burns around his neck from these people, and they're being portrayed in the mainstream media as somebody who is on his team. 844-500-4242. 781. Did you talk? Speaking of Katie Hill, did you talk about Cory Booker's girlfriend coming out as lesbian? Well, that's Rosario Dawson. She came out as bisexual, didn't she? I mean, of course, like everybody, I never believed she was really Cory Booker's girlfriend, but I think she said she'd never had a relationship on the opposite side of the fence. I don't know what the hell that means either. She's just, I think she's just like sort of coming out slowly. Do you or a loved one have trouble hearing over the telephone or need to turn up the TV volume so loud that others complain? Or do you find it hard to follow conversations at the dinner table or in a restaurant? Let's face it, hearing problems can be embarrassing. That's why Hearing Help Express takes away the anguish and embarrassment of hearing loss. Better hearing has never been so convenient and affordable, with simple to use, hard to see, and easy to afford hearing aids and professional care delivered right to your own home. And the best part, Hearing Help Express cuts out the middleman, saving you over 50% and an inconvenient trip to an audiologist's office. Right now, Hearing Help Express is offering a free, no-obligation hearing loss information kit that includes a hearing assessment with special offers and discounts. I love their information kit and have taken the assessment myself. It's fast, easy, and informative. Call Hearing Help Express today at 800-353-5200. Call 800-353-5200. That's 800-353-5200. Use promo code Howie. 800-353-5200. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Defensive Strategies in Manchester, New Hampshire. Defensive Strategies is the premier firearms training company in southern New Hampshire with more than 100 classes from beginner to instructor level. Come to where the trainers train. Visit defensivestrategies.org. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop?
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class.
And my Aunt Lee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
I'm here with Dr. Bruce Houghton from Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. You get a lot of patients, I'm sure, who are apprehensive about veneers. What are some of the questions and fears you get when you're dealing with new patients?
Some people think they could look too fake, but true cosmetic dentistry is incredibly detail-oriented. So we put a lot of time and effort into individualizing how the smile looks, and we really make them look natural, but very, very pleasant.
You know, people are concerned. They wonder, I got my teeth. Do I really want to put caps on?
Exactly. Yeah, they think they'll have that Hollywood look or fake look, but the technology that we have available and the artistry that we can create now really makes things so natural that most people, in fact, most dentists are just surprised that we can create what we can create nowadays. Everyone is different. Everyone has different facial dimensions, different bone structure, and we do everything we can to individualize treatment because there is no one perfect smile. It is your perfect smile.
Dr. Houghton, where can people find you?
So you can find us at perfectsmiles.com or call 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 844-A-PERFECT-SMILE.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money. And my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And, my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives.
Hi, this is Val from Longmeadow, Mass.
Hi, this is Tony and Pietra from Havel, Massachusetts.
This is Myrnie in Fairfax County, Virginia, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Oh yeah, he's a man with great integrity. The Attorney General is a man with incredible integrity. Now, just so you understand, I chose not to be involved. I'm allowed to be totally involved. I'm actually, I guess, the chief law enforcement officer of the country, but I've chosen not to be involved. But he is a man of great integrity. But I could be involved if I wanted to.
So here's how the Globe headline handles this. This is the new lead on the Boston Globe website. Trump attacks Stone, Roger Stone, prosecutors and judge, ignoring Barr's admonishment. Well, wouldn't it be an admonition for starters? But, he's not ignoring it. He's just saying, I have a right to say what I want to about it because I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America, which is totally accurate. So he attacks the Stone prosecutor. Yes, the Stone prosecutors are, again, they're a lynch mob. They're angry Democrats. Do you think that if an illegal alien ran over somebody drunk, that they would recommend 7 to 9 years? And they would like hell. Please. Sheila, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I'm calling from Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I'd like to find out, I just got this thing where what I see happening now, they're going to try to push Bernie in with Hillary as his running mate, so then they can drive Bernie out of there and give him a heart attack.
No, that will never happen, Sheila, and you know that. It's more likely that Hillary would become Bloomberg's running mate, and that's not going to happen either. But Bernie and Hillary together, no, that's not in the cards at all. Thanks for the call, though, Sheila. Joe, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe, how you doing?
Good.
Howie, I should say. Listen, I'm reading a book over the weekend, Washington at War. It's written by David Brinkley. It's copyrighted 1980.
Yes.
I almost fell out of my chair. It's all about the build-up to the wall and FDR. And Brinkley says that FDR had a terrible relationship with the press. And we've all heard about the fireside chat.
Yes.
According to Brinkley, that was his way of avoiding the press and getting out to the public. I'm reading this. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
So in other words, the fireside chats were the Twitter of the 1930s and 40s.
Exactly. And FDR, that Democrat icon, I couldn't believe it. I told my wife, I says, I got to get this to Kelly Conway. Unbelievable. Wow. Washington at War, David Brinkley, and it's copyrighted 1980. I just read this chapter. It's towards the end of the book.
Wow. I didn't think he had that
when
bad
the
of
stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
Yeah, that was, we just thought that was a one-off when Joe Biden said that. We said, he's not too bright, but, he doesn't make that many mistakes. That just was because we didn't see him every day. Now you see him every day, and he's always screwing up. We got a couple actually today. You want? Let's play cut 7 here.
Once again, legalize all the DACA students. These DACA students are more Americans than most Americans are. No, I'm serious. Think about it.
No, I'm serious. The DACA students, they're on welfare. 74% of them, according to Harvard University, are on welfare. Less than 30% of American natural citizens are on welfare. So they're more Americans than Americans, because then what could be more American than being on welfare, right? Bill, thanks for the call, Joe. Bill, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bill.
Trump's had some questionable picks, but Barr was a solid pick.
I agree.
I mean, I loved when he said the other day that the left is long on rhetoric and short on facts.
Yeah.
I
loved it when he said, they asked him about what happened to the Trump campaign, and he said it was spying. And somebody said, and one of the reporters or senators said, well, Comey says it was electronic surveillance, and he says, well, it's electronic surveillance is spying. You know, I mean, he's willing to come out and call a spade a spade.
Yeah, like it was really hard to get 2,000 prosecutors to say, let's get rid of Barr. Because they really want to protect their butts there. I mean, he is going to find, nobody.
Right.
I can't imagine nobody getting charged, but there's more facts coming out.
Right. Well, Byron York was talking about how tough it was to get information, even when Trump was president, to get the information about this conspiracy against him out of the Justice Department. But this is nothing new. The DOJ framed Ted Stevens, who'd been a senator in Alaska, Republican senator for 30, 40 years. They framed him when George W. Bush was president. And they literally framed him. They refused to turn over exculpatory evidence, and he ended up losing his seat in an election when he never should have been on trial because they had no evidence against him. So again, this is nothing new, and it cuts across party lines too. I mean, going back to the days of the frame up of those guys from the North End for killing Teddy Deegan in '65. I mean, the Republican administrations, Democrat administrations were covering all that stuff, all the prosecutorial and FBI misconduct up. It was horrible. It still is horrible. See you tomorrow. I'm Howie Carr.